Welcome to Actual Play. I'm Epi. This is going to be the first play of Wolfspell. This is the first time that I'm literally hosting an actual play, so bear with me here. I guess we're going to do introductions, though. I'm going to hand the mic over to Misha here. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I was having slight technical difficulties because your voice was coming at me in stereo from multiple sources. And I was like, how do I shut that off?
Oh, right, yes.
I'm Misha B, Black Girl Gameworks and New Agenda Publishing. I like wolves. Wolves are fun. One of my longest RPs is actually, we're playing a weird pack, and one of us, at least two of us, are werewolves. So it's cool. How about you, Emily?
I'm Emily Kerr, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm in the other room from Epi, so hopefully there won't be echoes and things. But I love wolves, and something that I've loved as we've gotten closer to the Wolfspell Kickstarter is that there's so many amazing wolf gifts out there in the world that it's great to be able to illustrate howling and rolling in the snow and, tussling, which is what the game is all about. So, yay. How about you, Strash?
Hey, I'm Strash, he, him. I am super psyched to play this, and I've had so aside from wearing wolf shirts and having being like super into wolves, like Em was mentioning, I've had a very long and exciting history with this game. I just want to do this, which is there's a original Wolfspell art hanging on my wall, so you can tell that I'm excited. And it may be really, really early, but I am pumped to be a wolf today. So yeah. What about you, Karen?
Hello, my name is Karen 12s. I'm at K12s on Twitter. My pronouns are she, her. I used to, I don't too much anymore, but I would watch a lot of werewolf movies because I particularly liked seeing how different, especially low budget films would do the transformation scenes. And I always found those pretty funny. But one of my favorites is actually a very high production value for its time, I guess, Brotherhood of the Wolf, which was this bizarre French film that just like got so many things wrong, but had some real kick-ass weapons at the end. And it was a weird movie. So I liked it. I can see Misha like,
it was so good. I love it.
It was so good. I love when they're doing target practice on like the juiciest pumpkins you've ever seen. They're like shooting pumpkins. The pumpkins are just like gooey. They're just like dripping. And you're like, what did you fill like what prop person like filled these pumpkins with pudding before? It was just so bad. So that's my wolf thing. And back to you, Epi.
Hi, I'm Epidiah Ravishaw, or Epi. I use he, him pronouns, and I don't like wolves.
Awkward. Okay.
Sorry, yes.
Damn.
Yeah. I like wolves. I'm sorry. Apologies. So Wolfspell is a game that I created about a little over 5 years ago. And we're playing it today because tonight there is going to be a super blood wolf moon. And if you don't know what that is a lunar eclipse when super means that the moon is closest to Earth in its orbit. Blood means it's a lunar eclipse, which actually makes the moon look red in its glow. Wolf means it's a moon in, full moon in January, so the lunar eclipse starts as a full moon in January. So none of those, when you actually point them out, seem super blood wolf moony. But we're going to make this one particularly super blood wolf moony because this evening at 10:34 p.m., the exact moment the eclipse begins. Oh, I'm sorry, that's on Eastern Standard Time. I should let people know. Then at that exact moment when the eclipse begins, we're going to launch a Kickstarter for this game to publish this game in a physical form, and not just any physical form. We're going to publish it as liner notes on a trifold record album cover, illustrated by none other than Shell Khan, who did the illustration that's on that Strash just showed us. So I'm super psyched about that. And I'm super psyched about this because we're going to start the day off playing some Wolfspell. Should I talk about how this game works? Is that how we do this? All right. So Wolfspell is a game where we play adventurers, typically sword and sorcery adventurers, who have come to a point in their life where the only way through is to turn themselves into wolves and accomplish some task. And we're going to start this game off by coming up with what our adventurers are, and then we're going to figure out what that sort of junction is, why they've come to this moment in their life when they need to be reborn as wolves. Then we're going to reborn as wolves and lope out into the world and try to accomplish the dire quest before you. So I've shared a copy of the game with everyone in the game here, but basically character creation is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. What we'll do is think about our characters, and we're going to have a series of 5 statements, and we're going to choose who amongst our characters those statements most apply to. And the way I recommend doing this, I'll go through and I'll read these statements out, and just if you want to play a character that statement applies to, just say that's me. We want to get at least everyone should have at least one, and since we have 5, somebody might end up with 2. But let's go. All right, I got to bring that page up and zoom it to a size that my human eyes can see. My failing human eyes. All right. The first one is, many have tested my sword arm and now wait to meet vengeance upon me in the afterlife. And I can go through all of them, and then we can kind of decide who's interested in what.
Let's do that.
The next, what's that? Oh, sorry. The next one is, I am witness to stranger worlds the most. The arcane and preternatural are to me as wolves and weather are to the farmer. The next one is, I'm at home when I sleep roofless and hunt my fare far from civilization. I am most alive in the houses, halls, and alleyways of humanity. And finally, no one ever truly knows where I stand and who I keep at dagger point. So does any of that call out to anyone?
I liked the second one, and I found it very poetic as well. So
I'm sorry, I missed that. Which one?
The second one.
Magic Wolf.
The witness to stranger worlds the most. Yeah.
Or maybe it was the third one. It was something about it's as common as water and weather.
No, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm witness to stranger worlds the most. The arcane and preternatural are to me as wolves and weather are to the farmer.
Yes.
All right. So we're just going to make a note of that. And what this will do is, when you face the supernatural, you're going to have a bonus to your blood die. And I'll talk about the wolf and blood die in a moment, but we'll just keep that in mind right now.
I'm tempted by City Wolf.
City Wolf?
I am houses, halls, and alleyways of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So you'll get a +3 to your blood die whenever you have to know the human mind, even your own human mind. And that's going to be important at some point. Hints, no spoilers.
Em, do you have a thing that you like, or shall I pick next?
I'm kind of tempted by the first one.
The many have tested my sword arm and now wait to meet vengeance upon me in the afterlife.
Yeah. Sounds
All right. So when performing tasks of gore or hatred, you may add +3 to your blood die. So enjoy that.
Nice.
I will be Wolfie Wolf.
All right.
I will be the Moon of the group. But I like the one that says that I'm more wolf-like than others. I start with additional feral, so that's the one I'm going to claim.
Right. Excellent. So
And
that's
actually,
yeah.
I have a funny question here. Can I be both thiefy wolf and wolfy wolf?
You didn't see that tricks as that saw that as more as tricksy wolf than thiefy.
Yeah.
It's like Loki wolf.
That's true. That's true.
So technically, decide amongst yourselves who gets them. So I don't get to make this decision. That's
all right then. I'm gonna claim too because I've never done that before. If nobody has an objection,
No, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
let's see if this breaks the game.
it won't. I guarantee that. But all right. So let me talk about these dice. If you look on our roll table mat, which may be familiar to those who've watched the Swords Without Master speedruns, we have 2 dice. For those playing the game, you want to right-click the die and then choose random side, and it will change the roll on those dice. One of these die will be our wolf die, and the other will be our blood die. And neither one is particularly the color of wolves or the color of blood. So let's just decide for now. Let's go with the purple being the wolf die and the orange being the blood die. Does that work for people?
Yeah.
Yeah, no objections. Good.
Dig it.
So when we play this game, we're going to run into situations where we have to roll the dice. And you're going to roll those dice. And we're going to pay attention to which one is higher. But we're also going to pay attention to how much higher it is than the other one, right? So in this example where I just rolled it, the wolf die is higher. I rolled a 4 on the wolf and a 3 on the blood. But it's only higher by 1. So that result is wolf 1. And we're going to look at little charts for each move that we're going to do, a little bit like if people are familiar with Apocalypse World or many other games that are based on that. And in this case, a 1 wolf is not, it's a little bit of a sad result. You want, excuse me, you want some distance between what you rolled and what your high die is and what your low die is. A wolf result means you get to do things like a wolf would do. You get to think like a wolf. You have wolf-like instincts. You can sense the world through the wolf senses. You can deal with problems the way wolves deal with problems, which is usually a little bit safer than the way human adventurers deal with problems. If you roll a higher blood die, then your history, your human side comes through, and that's how you deal with it. You start making, you start changing the world around you to better fit what you need. You start, you understand how humans operate. You maybe throw yourself into danger that's ridiculous, and a wolf would be like, "No, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You fool." So that's how that goes. With these, what we just created here with the characters, most of you get a +3 to your blood die in very specific situations. M has the one where in performing tasks of gore or hatred, she gets to add 3 to her blood die. Karen, you have the whenever you deal with the supernatural, you get to add 3 to your blood die.
Cool.
Misha, you have the one when you deal with humans, you get to add 3 to your blood die. And Strash, you have whenever you deal with deception or trickery, you add 3 to your blood die. But you also have the one where you tend to sleep away from civilization. You enjoy sleeping under the stars. So you have a 2 feral. And feral is like the only stat we have in this game. Everyone else has a 0 for their feral right now. When it comes to bonuses to your blood die, you always get to decide after you've rolled whether or not you want to add them to your blood die. So you may end up with a result where adding it to your blood die just makes your result worse, and you can ignore that. With feral, you always add your feral to your wolf die. You just can't resist the wolf side. It just draws you in and drags you out. So right now, Strash's character is going to be on the Wolfie side. So the other thing we need to do here is we're going to go around and we're going to ask each other questions about our characters. And it says here everyone should answer at least 3 questions. That is if we have a luxurious afternoon in which to play Wolfspell, but it is the morning and we have concerns. So let's just answer like a couple questions each. That way everyone kind of has an idea about their character. I'll start it off and we'll just, pick a person and ask them a direct question about their character. Let me go with Karen. Okay. When was the first time your character was exposed to the supernatural?
Oh, I'd say at a very young age through, and you can tell me if this maybe doesn't track with like how you've imagined the canonical fiction. But I imagined that their parents were cultists of some type or just like super wolfy themselves. And so it was like a family thing that just grew up thinking that was normal. And it wasn't until later, like, yeah. And when you just like have a blood sacrifice every month, that people were like, no, that's not a thing. Oh. And then realize like, maybe this is something we should keep on the DL.
That's perfect. Yeah. That's great. So now you get to ask somebody else a question about their character.
Okay. And sorry, was this a question that we were picking from a list, or is this just whatever I feel like?
You just whatever you feel like.
Sweet. Emily, what did it feel like the first time you ate a fresh kill, we'll say? Silence.
Oh, ask about our human life before we turned into wolves.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's still accurate.
Oh, yeah. All right, perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Then. Oh, can you say it again? I just want to make sure I got it right.
The first time that in human form you ate like your leftovers of oh no, you're right, because it would be for humans. So the first time that you realized that you had like a taste for something that was not served to you, but that you went out and hunted yourself. You're like, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah. I think that it sort of came to me as
Uh-oh, I think she...
Did we lose an M?
Oh yeah.
No. Oh no.
I can hear her answer in the other room, but
we were all like very politely quiet, like
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
She might have locked up there.
Bummer.
Do you want to ask a question of someone else while we wait for M to come back to us?
Sure. Strash, what was something that you used to love in your previous human life that now just doesn't have any joy to you?
That's a solid question. Let me. So I think I'm gonna actually posit something. And Epi, I don't know if there's anything in the game that contradicts this. So you help me out here, okay?
All right.
I think part of the reason why I'm Wolfie Wolf is I may have actually survived a previous wolf spell. This may not be my first.
Oh.
Ooh.
I like it.
And so I think before that time, I was. I think that's like where a lot of the like deceit and trickery comes from. Like it's I was much more of a roguish, rakish kind of character initially. And I think that once I came through that first experience, I just I don't really share campfires or human company. I spend a lot of time out in the woods and by myself, and I just don't talk about it. So like a lot of the things that I used to enjoy previously. So like I used to have like fancy dress or like nice jerkins, well-forged weapons of bright steel, that kind of thing. Like I looked like a rogue, like a sword, right? But like now, like I just sort of like do things on my own. I'm very reserved. I don't talk. So like maybe the company of others is really my answer, if that's okay. Do we just bounce? Should I ask Misha a question?
Yeah, I think we just lost Epi too.
And this is probably best with the
Epi's
overlay.
back.
So
Okay.
I'm sure there's a secret Sean desperately working in the background.
Sean's jumped in. Hello.
Hi all. Hey, just hanging out.
Oh no.
I'm just sort of
Probably
jumping
the
in.
weather.
I'm jumping in to round out the space. Yeah.
Yeah, the Northeast is in the middle of fun winter weather, so it could be something. Hey, wait, we have an Epi back.
Yay.
Yay. I like came back and I had like everything everyone said all at once just blasted him. So M should be back shortly, I think. I don't know if the weather is affecting our internet or not, but this will be exciting.
I mean, I imagine the super blood wolf moon is affecting all sorts of things. In fact, all game long, if anything goes wrong, that's what I'm blaming.
Yes.
Super blood wolf moon.
All right. So I might have missed some important things, but let me just see if I got the gist of what happened with Strash's character. You were like a tricksy little rogue, and then you had a wolf spell, and you came back from the wolf spell, and now you're like, maybe I enjoyed being a wolf a lot.
Yeah, and maybe I didn't just enjoy being a wolf, but it changed me. I spend a lot more time by myself and in the woods, kind of doing the thing, rather than necessarily focusing on like the human side of things. I don't really enjoy human company as much anymore.
Yes.
All right, cool. I know that M just came back and M's turn vanished into the ether of the internet stuffs. But I said I was gonna ask Misha a question. So Misha, remind me real quick, what type of wolfy wolf are you?
I'm City Wolf.
Oh, you're City Wolf.
I like people. People are cool. People are cool. Yeah.
So actually, I'm gonna ask a strange question.
Sure.
I think most of us are not city folk. So clearly, you're either an outsider or you're somebody that has left our area, whether it's like city or I don't know, lands that our people live on or whatever. So like, what is it about cities that like calls to you and speaks to you and has like pulls you away from hearth and kinship? Like, why do you stay there?
I don't think it's so much that it pulls me away from hearth and kinship so much as, hey, I went out and I saw the world and I encountered a city for the first time. And it's like, wow, there's all these people that I'm not related to. And they all have opinions and thoughts and actions and whoa. And it was like, oh, and the world opened up.
Coolness.
So Emily, what should we ask of Emily? So I'm just gonna be cool and I'm gonna use Karen's question because that was a really interesting question and I wanted to hear the answer. So Emily, what was the first time you wanted to feel the feel of blood between your teeth and that just pure visceral eating of raw flesh?
I think something came over me when, I don't know if you heard anything that I said before, so I'll just say it again or spin on it. When I came into my adult maturity, which means I was a teenager, and all of a sudden, I've just been content to eat what had been caught or have non-fleshy, bloody things, and then it just overwhelmed me with this hunger and desire to catch my own prey, and the thrill of the hunt was intoxicating. and the taste of raw blood and warm flesh just became something that was part of me and what I wanted to do. So let's see, who should I ask a question of? Karen, have you had a question yet asked of you?
Yeah, I started. But Strash has
Okay,
two
great.
wolves, so we could ask a question of the other one, maybe.
Excellent.
Sure.
Yeah, Wolfie Wolf.
Are there two wolves that you're playing, Josh, or are you one wolf that has two components or
I have
characters?
I have two character traits. I am a
Got
single person.
Got it.
Sweet. Okay, cool. All right. And you are the sneaky and the wolfy wolf, correct?
Mhm.
So what's the sneakiest thing that you just like delight in that you got to do to maybe a good friend?
Don't forget to unmute before you answer.
Yeah, sorry. There was a pause because I had to come up with something that involved a good friend. So clearly, it can't be terribly mean. And I'm embracing the tricksy nature. So I think it's one of those things where this is like one of those legendary pranks that everybody talks about, which is at one point I got my best friend like totally sloshed one evening, and then somehow managed to sneak him out of his house, out of his bed, and like up a mountainside, so that when he woke up, he like turned over and still had his blankets and his pillow, but like was in the middle of like like a cliffside somewhere and had to like make his way back to our village or town or wherever we are. So I think it's one of those things. Like this was like before, like when I was still in Trixie / Rogie / sword mode. But it's one of those like legendary pranks that everyone talks about, you know, and like keeps making jokes about in the area.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh, let me think here. So I asked Misha my question last. So I think I'm gonna ask Karen this question. So Karen, I just being somebody that's raised with a little bit of a mystic background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but like you mentioned that you weren't like 100% on board with the whole like mysticism / religion aspect of your family that's sort of like runs. Go ahead.
I think that she just grew up actually thinking that it was normal, and then discovered later like, oh, that's actually like maybe not something that other people do.
All right. I don't know if I'm sort of leading into the next segment / questions, but of all the people, you may be actually like one of the well, actually, I'm not gonna answer or insinuate this. I'm just gonna ask, why would you volunteer to undergo a wolf spell?
I think it was family pressure.
All right.
Of just like, well, you know, you're not, you could do it. It's like, sure. Okay. It was kind of something that was again presented as like a totally normal option of something that one could do.
That works. Sorry, I apologize. I've got a small curious cat here.
Okay. Okay, so we're still asking questions. Yes?
Yes, yeah. Just like one more for everyone, or like everyone should answer maybe two. So
okay.
I think
who has
Misha
not
and
answered? Okay. Misha, what, you were City Wolf. Let's see. What is what was something that you would do to center yourself and to kind of unwind?
I think she reads or read. She likes learning, so she would find anything, books, scrolls, try to get somebody to anything that anybody had written down, and just kind of kept amassing this knowledge, and it's something to turn to, and it's like, all right, books make sense. If you go left to right, front to bottom, this is how you read. It makes sense. It's easy to calm down if you're with a good book.
Cool.
Agreed.
Right? So I think M's the only one who hasn't answered 2 yet. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
I think so. Yes.
Emily. We'll go with an easy one. What made you decide to become an adventurer in the first place?
I think just doing the things with my family and my community that were needed to be done didn't feed this bloodlust that I had. And, it started with just wanting to capture prey, and then it fed into wanting to fight and to succeed and kill. And so that kind of got me in a lot of trouble where I was staying. So I would venture out and go do things that people needed to be done that were not so pleasant. And I think that, it's better. Have killed a lot of people apparently. And, so they're out there in the world rather than all in one place. So, but the ghosts haunt me for that decision.
Excellent.
And
I think we're good then, and everyone's gotten 2, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next step, we now know a little bit about who you were before all this happened, and we've got some hints as to what's about to happen here. So let's decide on the actual wolf spell. All right. This is another list I'll read from, and as a group we'll decide. The document I sent you was issue 2 of Worlds Without Master, where it was originally published, and there are 4 wolf spells in that. There are 4 new wolf spells that will be showing up in the Kickstarted version. So I'm going to read all 8 of them, and we'll decide which of them we can do.
Nice.
Yes. So the first one is, from generations long past, this curse has been you and your kin. This very night you shall lope out as children of Fenris and drive a rival clan from the Vale. The task, that's one. Another one is, the task before you is not one suited for the civilized, so you turn to dark magics and shift your flesh into a form more suitable. Number 3 is, the augurs dictate that only fang and claw will rend your destiny. You will be reborn as beast to fulfill that prophecy. Number 4 is, the relics of an ancient cult plundered from an old queen's tomb carry with them a strange savage curse that can only be cleansed in distant holy fires. All right, and now, a pack with knowledge of wild wizardry and a keen interest in a particular human affair have possessed your bodies and left you theirs. So that's a bunch of wolves that have changed flesh with you. A sorceress tyrant of the north has molded your flesh wolfward to add to their menagerie of civilized beasts to be proudly displayed before their court. Each of you swallow a small fetish carved of wolf bone to shed your human flesh and cross the veil to seek a fae-stolen child. Or finally, transformed by thunder and lightning in a storm of swift and uncanny origins, you are filled with an irresistible rage against the giant who's said to live beyond the mountains. Do any of those call out to you?
I think the first
not call out to me.
Oh no. The first one kind of tracks with my background, but I don't want to have to make everybody else fall in line with that. I think the second to last and the last one also sounded super cool.
The two that I'm super into, one of them is Evil Wizard from the North turns you into wolves. That's pretty cool. That Evil Wizard from the North is gonna have a real bad day.
Yeah.
And then the other one I really liked was the whole like, in order to like cross the Feyland border and retrieve a stolen child, we eat magic bone carvings and become wolves. That's pretty rad too.
Yeah, I liked that one.
I think my two favorite were the retrieving the face stolen child, and the hey, we're trapped in a zoo. Yeah.
Well, we seem to have a lot of votes for the face stolen child. Are you interested in that, Em? All right.
Cool.
Excellent. So let's go with that. Each of you swallow a small fetish carved of wolf bone to shed your human flesh and cross the veil to seek there a face stolen child. So when this is done, okay, so when this is done, roll when you return from the Fey realm to regurgitate the fetish and add 3 to your blood die if you've not been fed by hand while there. Okay, so this is when we get to the end of this, we're going to have a bunch of things going on, and then we're going to have a final roll for each character to see if they can turn back into human. But right now, we're going to turn into wolves. You've swallowed these wolf bone fetishes, and now the way this works, this little ritualization here, I have a list of questions that I ask of specific wolf players. For your part, you may ask me at any point during this about how the transformation feels, smells, tastes, sounds, and appears. So I'm just going to go through and ask each one of you a question, and you're welcome to just be like, wait, I need to know this. So I'm going to just set the scene here real quick. Well, I mean, the Fae, when they steal children, they're often infants. But what's weird about this is that this child is like 18 years old and about to take on the mantle of like Jarl of this village that you've found yourselves in, a place where you had been like, we're just going to. It's obviously it's winter out because it's winter outside my window right now, and that's how that works. You're like, we're gonna wait out this storm in this village. It's going to be kind of relaxing. They have plenty of stores. We've brought stuff with us, and then the parents of this child come shrieking into the hall to say that the Fae have stolen their child in the night, while the 4 of you, I presume, are nursing hangovers and just laying about. And so over the course of the day, they know that they need to send people into the Fae, but obviously nobody in this particular village has any experience, and they one by one start to beseech you in different ways to try and get you to do this. And eventually, because this is where we are in the game, you've decided. You can make up how you've decided in your head, but you've like, okay, we've got to do this. Let's do this. And so you gather that evening before a great bonfire outside, and each of you given one of these wolf carvings to swallow, and then step into the fire so you can step into the veil. I am going to. Oh, we need names for characters. So when I ask you a question, you also tell me what your character's name is. We may not need them after this because you're wolves, and do wolves have names? We don't know. So I'm going to start with Strash, because I think you're the first to step through. You've done it before, right? Like this is you've not done this spell before, but you've done.
Actually, I think I did.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think I did. As a matter of fact, most people don't know this, but I have a massive scar because the last time I had to be a wolf and cross into the Fey realm, I fought some nasty bugger of an Earl King, and I won that duel. I'll have you know. I'm back now, but I still bear the scar. So ask me your questions, Epi. As a matter of fact, like when someone's like, would you like this wolf carving? I'm like, no, I'm in my own. Like I still have the old one.
That's great. So when you swallow it and step into it, what dread seeps into your soul during the shifting?
Oh, Strash, you went on mute.
And I
I
was
still
mute
bear the
when
curse of the king. So I think it's one of those things where by not being myself, I was essentially like away from the wrath, right? So like the Earl King placed the curse on me, but when you're a wolf, and when you're a person, you're a person. So the curse can't follow me through the transformation. That's partially why we do this, because the Fae can't latch onto us unless we eat, from their hand, right? And so I was given a death curse. I know that this is basically a death sentence for me. And as I step through, I do not know if I'm the same wolf as I was last time and whether the curse will apply, but I suspect that I might meet my fate on this road.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. All right. So who's next? Karen, would it be like your...
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that she kind of naively volunteered. Again, because this seemed like a totally normal, safe thing to do.
Yeah.
Is the question the same? What dread?
No, I got a new one for you.
Got it.
Well, this is great. I love that this is like a totally normal, safe thing to you. So then I get to ask the question, what is most painful about the shifting?
Oh, everything. It feels like burning all across my body and in a way that is just like terrifying, of just like, maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe I have no idea what I'm doing and am in way over my head on this. And it's extremely painful inside and out. And it feels like my skin is being flayed from my body.
Ouch. Yes.
It feels like it's not, but it feels like it. And it continues to ache and feel raw for some time.
That's great. I totally appreciate the werewolf movie research you've done over the years. All right. Misha. So I'm gonna have you go next.
All right.
How do you stand up to this fire? Like, how do you go into this?
Curiosity killed the wolf. Like, this is going to be interesting. It's something I haven't done before. This is going to be new and exciting and different, and I'm curious. So yeah, she pops the pill.
Then the question I have for you is, what is most familiar about the shifting?
Ooh. The expansion of consciousness. It's kind of like when I walked into a city for the first time and realized that, wow, the world is bigger than what I thought. And then you can smell things you never smelled. You can hear things you never smelled. You can see things you never saw. And so that expansion of, holy crap, the world is not what I thought.
That's wonderful. Yes. And finally, our dead, haunted, gore-soaked. So what's it like for your character, Emily? I'm sorry. The first question is you step towards this fire. You're the last. All of your party has gone in before you. Do you boldly step in? Do you hesitate? What's going through your mind?
I think I hesitate a moment or two because there was some maybe screaming and discomfort that people have been experiencing before me. I thought of a name for me. I don't know if I'll use it, but it's Briar. So I step in, and I think I have kind of that separation from self that I didn't realize too, that Strash talked about, where I'm just always having this feeling of people over my shoulder, like whispering, vengeance is coming to me. And then when I turn into the wolf, at least for the moment, they can't find me. So I feel truly free in this new body.
Excellent. That's great. I was actually going to ask you the question, how does the shifting warp your consciousness? But I think that was just straight up answered. So unless you want to add anything to that, that's fine.
I think that's it. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, that's good. No, that's perfect. That's great. So now we come to my favorite part. You've stepped through this fire. It was winter all around you. When you stepped into it, you come out on a grassy meadow surrounded by wildflowers, and the birds are chirping like it's a nice, beautiful spring day, and you are all wolves. I feel like this is a good moment for a commercial break. Do we want to just take a break here and return as wolves? Is this good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
For sure.
All right.
Should we think about what our wolves look like while we're breaking?
Yeah, so yes.
Describe
So
them?
when you come back, you will describe your coat, your size, your scent, and your voice. So have those in mind. All right.
Cool.
I don't know.